You're your own advertising. Use yourself, use your habits, use your lifestyle as your own advertising. And whether patients know it or not, they're either going to be drawn towards you or drawn away from you because of that.
Welcome to the Dr. J.J. Thomas Podcast.
I'm Dr. J.J. Thomas. Thanks for coming and spending some time with us today. We're going to talk about an advertising strategy that costs you nothing and pays out big time. It may not be what you think. So I get this question a lot. Like, I have a lot of friends that are getting into cash-based practice or at least want to get into cash-based practice. And recently, especially since I have this move to help others work towards opening cash-based practices, I've had friends of mine coming to me and saying, JJ, one thing I'd love advice on is, how do I advertise? What's the best way to advertise? What have you seen the most success with? And I'll tell you, it's not external advertising. It's more internal advertising. And what I mean by that is the way you're going to promote your business, the way you're going to promote your skills and your product, if you will, your service, is actually by looking in the mirror. So every day you get up, you look in the mirror. That's your advertising model. And what I mean by that is, in order to attract patients, in order to attract new clients, new patients, and keep the ones you have, it first starts with you. You are your brand. You are your representative. You are what represents your product and service that you're providing, whether you like it or not. So even if a patient doesn't realize it, when they're looking at your social media, when they're having a conversation with you about anything, whether it's something from their physical therapy needs to how you're raising your children, you are the brand. That is what they're signing up for. Basically, that means get your shit together. Take some time in your own life to self-reflect and figure out are you living your life by the values that you expect your patients to? Are you following your own advice? Are you getting up and exercising like you tell your patients to? Are you eating the way you suggest your patients to eat in order for optimal health? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you doing the things that you're recommending to other people? Because if you're not, it doesn't matter how many flyers you put out there. It doesn't matter how many web designers and SEO, SEM people you hire. If you are not representing what you're asking other people to do, it's not going to be worth anything. Think about this. Think about, to sort of help honor this point, think about someone that you've worked with or worked for in the past that you didn't respect. Maybe you worked on a project with them. Maybe you worked for them. If you didn't respect them, chances are, I'd like you to ask yourself, in fact, how did that project go? Did that project work out the way that the project manager was intending, the way that your leaders in that organization were intending? My guess is that if you didn't respect that person you were working with, that project didn't do so well. And so now take it one step further and ask yourself, why didn't you respect that person you were working with? Chances are it's because they felt like a fraud. They felt like they were selling something that they themselves didn't believe in, that they themselves didn't practice, or that they were asking you to do that they're not willing to do themselves. So they were like a fraud. Who wants to work for a fraud? Who wants to be associated with a product that's fraudulent, right? So guess what? If we want our patients to believe in our product and our service, we better not be frauds. We better live, eat, sleep, breathe, believe what we're selling. And that's health and fitness, right? So take your own advice and look in the mirror and get it done. And in the morning when you're tired because you had a late night with the kids or whatever, remind yourself of that. You know what? I'm tired. I don't necessarily feel like getting up to exercise like I normally do. Okay, I got to do it because I got to look at myself in the mirror next and ask myself if I'm being true to my own values and to what my expectations for my patients. So that's the conceptual theory behind this, right? You're your own advertising. Use yourself, use your habits, use your lifestyle as your own advertising. And whether patients know it or not, they're either going to be drawn towards you or drawn away from you because of that. So that's the conceptual model. Now, I can give you actually an anecdotal evidence of this. About a little over a year ago now, let me back up and say, luckily for me, back in college, I was able to form those habits because I found those habits that I live by and that my patients see me live by, because I found that worked for me, that gave me clarity of my own vision, and it gave me confidence, and it gave me the ability to accomplish lots of things just by taking control of my own life and my own health needs. But I was challenged even further a little over a year ago when I tore my ACL. So 46 years old, I guess I was 45 at the time, 46 years old, and my first real injury that I knew was going to be a long road to recovery. And it was a test. But actually, that test, if you will, it allowed me to prove to myself and to other people that I do live by my own code, that I'm going to take this challenge and I'm going to take my own advice. You can't have a patient drinking the Kool-Aid if you're not willing to drink the Kool-Aid yourself. I drank my Kool-Aid. I did everything that I would have had my patient do and more. I had higher expectations for myself, in fact. And you know what happened after that? The amount of patients that were coming to us for ACL recovery after my injury has been exponentially greater. People saw the way I rehabbed my own ACL and they were like, oh my God, that's what I need. I need a leader like that. So I didn't have to put a flyer out and say, hey, guess what? JJ tore ACL. This is how we're going to do it. They saw it and they were drawn to it. So anecdotally, that was evidence for me, right? There's actually been scientific evidence too, though, to support this. So look up Amy Cuddy, Cuddy. She did a TED Talk. That's incredible. But beyond the TED Talk, she did research. In her TED Talk, she explains some research that she did. And in this research, basically what she found is they studied primates. They studied alpha male primates. And they looked at behavioral patterns, but they also looked at hormones of these alpha male primates, okay? And they also compared that to the best leaders in the world. And what they found is that the best leaders in the world and alpha male primates, you know what they have in common? They all have pretty high testosterone and low cortisol, that stress hormone that we all get when we're stressed, right? So hormonally, leaders and alpha male primates are very similar. Crazy. On top of that, Amy Cuddy did some research where she said, hey, can we manipulate how the body responds just by an action we do? By our posturing is what she decided to study. So what she did is she took lots of subjects and she put them in a room and she gave them a power posture. And there's 4 power postures. But she said, you have to assume this power posture. One of them is like Wonder Woman. One of them is like this. So you can imagine. Assume a power posture for 2 minutes. And they studied the hormonal levels pre and post 2 minutes. And they actually found that by 2 minutes of assuming a power posture, the testosterone of those individuals raised and the cortisol levels, the stress hormones, lowered. So you can actually make someone more of a leader hormonally by assuming 2 minutes of a power posture. Incredible. Let's take that now and apply that to getting your shit together, right? 2 minutes changes you hormonally. 2 minutes gives you qualities that are more like a leader. If you take that and you now work out for 15 minutes a day, or you do something healthy for yourself, whether it's meditation, you make a decision essentially. You make a decision for your health. That's an action. That's a power posture. If you do that for 30, 40 minutes a day, imagine how many changes you can make in your hormonal levels. I actually left out a piece. In her study, she also looked at how other people perceive someone after they've assumed a power posture. And you're actually perceived more with more authority, with more leadership abilities after 2 minutes of a power posture. So get your ass up, get your workout in, make the decisions that you're claiming everyone should do for themselves anyway. And then you're going to know, hey, I'm not a fraud. I can look at my patients in the eye. I can look at myself in the mirror. And not only am I going to feel more confident, they're going to actually get the buy-in that they need to go and have the guts to do what they need to do to make themselves better too. You know what happens down the road? Patients have the buy-in. They believe in you. They believe in your product. They believe in your service. They believe in themselves. All of a sudden, they get better faster because they do what they're supposed to do. It's like one contagious, beautiful thing. It's advertising. It's free advertising. And then you don't have to pay a darn thing. In fact, the payout is greater because you feel better, you look better, you're more successful, you're more of a leader, and all of that trickles into your patients and your outcomes. I want to give one last story as an example to sort of wrap up this podcast, this episode. That is another person that I think would be worth your while watching. If you don't know of him already, is Bedros Keuilian. Bedros is a very successful entrepreneur, and he's been so successful through the years as an entrepreneur. Now he coaches other people who want to succeed in their businesses. And recently I heard him speak, and actually it was one of his live events. So it was a whole weekend of brilliant individuals who help people with leadership and business strategies. But at one point when Bedros was speaking, he gave a spiel, and then he invited people for questioning. He had microphones up. He probably took about 10 questions. At least 3 to 4 of those people, when they asked a business question, his answer was, "Get jacked." And I was actually with my husband at this thing, and we're laughing. We're like, that's hilarious. But he's saying the same thing. He said, get jacked, right? Like, take control of your own life before you're trying to run a business. You have to show yourself, prove to yourself, and prove to others that your standards are here. And if you're not living the life that you're preaching, if you're not walking the walk and you're just talking the talk, then you're not going to be able to do it. So that's it, guys. If you want a successful business, start with yourself, look yourself in the mirror, ask yourself some hard questions, and just get on the horse and start riding, because the journey is excellent when you can just make some decisions that are going to produce results that you're looking for. If you have any questions about this or any other topics that you'd like to hear, we'd love to hear from you. Please put questions in the Q&A below. Feel free to DM me, reach out anytime. And if you want to hear more, just like and subscribe to our channel, and feel free to click on the link in the description for the free ebook for more advice on cash-based practice owning as well.